Good afternoon. Today I'm joined by Yazmin Collister of Sage Social Consultancy. So good afternoon, Yazmin. Can you first of all tell me a little bit about what the company does and how long it's been formed for?
Yeah, so it's been running, it'll be coming up 2 years in March. So we started it just after lockdown had ended, after me and my best friend were furloughed from work. So we had more time on our hands and all of this creative energy and passion that we had nowhere to put because our jobs were out of business. So we decided with our qualifications in marketing, we were going to start our own business. So we went with the traditional agency angle of our services that we offered, but with an easier payment structure, so you can just pay as you go, basically. So if you only need a few hours work, that's what you have each week, and there's no monthly retainer. And we came in at a lower price than the market was currently offering to try and encourage new customers.
Okay, very good. So a really good news story, really, from COVID.
Yeah, pretty much like a success story from lockdown.
Very good. When you think of success, who would come to your mind? When you think about who's the first person?
Well, Alison Rose has just been given, she's just been made a dame. So she's now MBE, I think they're called, aren't they, when they're a dame? So she started when she was really young, just as a graduate at NatWest Bank, and she's now the CEO of NatWest. So she's climbed right to the top. And what I think of her, because she was the first woman really who kicked off the whole government investigation into the misrepresentation of women, how poorly they were represented, not just in the finance sector, but in general, in high up roles in business. She got there by herself. She didn't inherit the company. She didn't get given anything. She had to work really hard to get to where she was. And then when she got to the top, she was like, where is everybody else? Where are all the other women? Where are all my peers? And now it started off the wage gap, all of the reporting from that came from that same investigation. So I feel like Alison Rose started all of that. And so she's not just an idol in terms of her success and how hard she worked and now where she is now, but the transparency that she insisted on in that sector has really helped the rest of us, I believe.
Brilliant. They're very brave as well. Very brave.
I mean, because she could have been frowned upon for that, and she could have been potentially demoted for kicking up a fuss, but she didn't. She knew her value, she knew what she was worth, and she knew she was right.
Okay, thank you. Now you've already mentioned that the business was born out of COVID, but what would you say are the key business changes that you made within
when we first started back in the beginning of 2021? People were still very people were fed up with COVID, but they were still very hesitant. So when we had meetings with new clients, we always made sure we offered it over Zoom. So we would say, if you're not comfortable with us coming out to your premises and you don't want to meet up, or you're trying to keep your staff safe, we would always offer an alternative. As time's gone on, that's changed, and people are very happy for us to come into their premises now. So yeah, if anything, it's got better. But because of when we started, I would say there were definitely things in place that we had to do as a business to show that we were taking it seriously and accommodating to the other businesses.
Is yours the type of business that you're able to do remotely?
Yes and no. So it depends on the client. If we want content, for example, we often have to go to the physical location and take photographs, take videos. We have to do a lot of it ourselves, and so that can't be done, but if it's just a hotel and they want some web changes, for example, that we just get them to send the images, and we don't ever really need to go there. We can just talk to them on Zoom. So okay.
And what would you say, what are some of your biggest learnings since you've been a business owner?
It's been a steep learning curve about timings. I'm trying to think how slow things can start. So you can get a new client on and you can go through the onboarding and you can feel like it should be it now, actually, we should be ready, we should be going live, but there is so many things that you have to wait on, and the client can get frustrated and we can get frustrated as an agency, but you have to just allow these things time. You have to set 2 to 3 days for the approval process, 2 to 3 days for the litigation team to check it all, the copy, and it's all worded safely. You have to wait for Facebook to accept reviews if something gets rejected. There's just so many things that hold it up, and I'm very much I want it now. I'm like an instant gratification kind of mindset, so I'm like, I need it live now. I want it live. So we've had to, the way I've learned from that is I've just had to set longer deadlines on projects. So if a customer says, I want a $3,000 Shopify page created, and I've got to know that this project's going to take a long time, I'll set it to more months ahead than I normally would. So I'm kind of like under promising and over delivering. Okay. So it's usually done before that deadline anyway, but I make it very clear from the beginning to the client that it could take this long. Whereas at the beginning we didn't know that, so we'd just be like, yeah, we'll get that live for you tomorrow, when really there's a lot more things that hold it up.
Okay, good learning. And what would you say that the both of you, what are your aspirations for the next 5 years? Where's the business going?
Same as any business, we just want to grow. We want to hire more women. We want to get a bigger location from our little office. We would obviously love more clients. I mean, at the moment we're kind of sustaining, so we're in a chicken and egg situation where we're going to have to hire more people to get more clients, but we need to hire more clients to justify the people. So yeah, that's where it's at the moment. But yeah, I mean, in 5 years time, I'm imagining it'll be much bigger operation. And then with individual sectors, different departments. So we'll have a paid department just for paid socials and PPC. We'll have an SEO department. We'll have a web team, typical agency setup.
So some great plans then. Exciting plans.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What would you say, looking ahead then? What's some of the concerns or your comments really on recruiting people, on the employment situation within the Wirral and surrounding areas?
In this area, it's really good, to be honest. There are a lot of employment opportunities at the moment. There are a heck of a lot of agencies in Liverpool and Manchester. There's no shortage at all of agencies you could choose from as a business, and there's an awful lot of people coming out of university with degrees in marketing and advertising and media, and so there's a lot of really good talent. I've met a lot of young people, mostly through apprenticeship schemes and other training programs that are similar, who are so knowledgeable, like way more knowledgeable than I feel like I was coming out of university, and they are very much on the ball and can teach you a thing or two about it. Think new aspects that you wouldn't have thought of. So like in the olden days, you'd hire an apprentice and you'd have to train them up on so much stuff to get them to your level, but it's not like that. They're coming out pretty much there, and they just need training on your particular systems. And the creativity from the young people that we're getting through these training programs, like we had an apprentice during the autumn last year, and she was just brilliant. She, her time management, her creativity, her intuition to just do things off her own back, like that, it's just brilliant. Like we would have no problem hiring new people for this agency at this point, especially choosing from a female demographic.
Fantastic. And follow-up question to that, really, what have you been your biggest learnings when you've actually had to employ people? And you've mentioned some of them, you've been so impressed, but what other learnings have you had?
I mean, the actual clerical side of it, the admin of it, setting up PAYE was such a lengthy process. I would not like to repeat that. That's my partner handles all of that admin side of things, but that took a long time. HMRC, any dealings with HMRC are a challenge. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't really any complications. It's just, I suppose it's learning that individual person as well. Some people need a lot of hand-holding and micromanaging. It's not often, but some do, and they like it like that. And that can obviously take time out of your schedule, and so you just have to work out a way to manage that and manage expectations and say, this is a project just for you that you need to work on. If you need help, you can come to me, but you need to set your own tasks for this, and that's how you learn. That's how we train people. So whereas others are just very happy to get on with it and just like, done, next. So yeah, it's just learning how that individual copes and what their particular needs are, because obviously everyone's different and everybody has their own way of learning and working.
So in many respects, you learn very quickly how the jobs that you didn't specifically like doing, and you outsource those jobs.
Pretty much, yeah. Which I can see why everyone goes externally in the end for payroll and for accounts, because it's so time consuming when you've got a business to run.
Yeah, and especially as you're creative people as well, aren't you? So it's made a lot of sense.
That would be some advice I would give to others, is that if you think you're going to save a bit of money by doing your own stuff, your own accounts or your own payroll, it's not worth it. The time you're going to lose that you could put on clients is just not worth it. You can find reasonable companies who'll do it for you.
Absolutely, and you can focus on the value added.
Exactly.
Great learning, fantastic. Final question then, Yazmin. Here's a great one. I love this question as well. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Pay into a pension. That's what I would say. My dad would say that to me, and I just did not take any notice. But I would say, as soon as you get a job, start paying into a pension, because you'll look at your pot when you're in your mid-30s and go, "Oh, is that it?" So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say invest now, because you're only going to get bigger and better and earn more over time, and you need that to build up at the same time as you, at the same rate as you let it appreciate. So yeah.
Brilliant. It's one I share, that one. And
yeah, do you wish you paid earlier?
Yes, Dad was right. That's all you say.
Dad was right indeed. I wish I'd started paying earlier. When you're young, you think, oh, I don't want to take any contribution from my wage because I want the wage all for myself to spend right now. But it's so small, and in the, in hindsight and in the grand scheme of things, it's worth it 100%.
No, absolutely. Well, it's absolutely been lovely speaking to you, Yazmin. So thank you for your time today. That's been